let's have some conversations about strategies and concepts that our clients and our prospects might actually want, but we're not an expert in. And for those of you who didn't raise your hand about being your first time at the Elite Tax Planning Academy, you don't get to participate in this question. This is only the first timers here. This pie chart, and we certainly didn't come up with this, I think the first time we heard was from Landmark. But let's assume this pie chart represents our knowledge. There's going to be 3 categories. So somebody tell me what one of those categories might be.
What you don't know.
There you are. What you don't know. What would the second category be?
What you know.
What you know. And the third category? What you don't know, what you don't know. Anybody want an example of those 3? Because I'm going to give you one. What you know. I was born and raised in San Diego. Father took me surfing for the first time when I was 5 years old. Been surfing ever since. I know how to surf. My wife's family is French.
That's all right. You weren't thinking in French.
Yeah, I was going to my French translation there. My wife's family is French. And when we go back and visit her family, I've never taken a day of French in my life, mind you. So when her family asks, "Parlez-vous français?" I say, "No, no, no." I know I don't know how to speak French. I know how to surf. I know I don't know how to speak French. Somebody give me an example of the third category. What you don't know, you don't know. Kurt?
You don't know it.
Nah, it's a trick. It's a trick. By the very definition of the statement, you don't know what you don't know, right? And so some of you have heard this story, but about 2 years ago, the first time I brought this up at Elite Tax Planning Academy, an attendee, and I won't mention whether it was an accountant or an advisor, but an attendee came up at break and they said, "You know, I kind of get where you're going with this whole thing, like what you don't know, and it's kind of cool, but does it really matter?" And he kind of had me for a second, like, oh man, did I just really mess this up? And then I realized, wait a minute. Your clients consider you their most trusted advisor. They're expecting you to know everything about how to make sure, what did we say earlier, what they want. Keep more of their money, feel more confident about their business or their financial situation. You know, they're looking to us for that. So what you don't know, of course matters. We have a client that's owned a business for 10 years. Company owns a manufacturing facility, $2.6 million value. Bought it 3 years ago. Right now they're having a hard time meeting demand for their products because cash flow is not there to hire more employees and invest in new equipment. If their go-to professional, their advisor, their team doesn't know to have the conversation about cost segregation, as an example. And by doing cost seg, they'd accelerate the depreciation, increase the cash flow in that first year by, let's just $450,000 as an example, which would allow them to hire 2 or 3 more employees, invest in more equipment. Does that matter if nobody had that conversation with the client? Does it matter to the client? Does it matter to the client and the advisor or the client and the accountant? Does it matter to the employees that the business owner is able to hire? Does it matter to the business and the future success of that company? Does it matter to the business that they buy the equipment from? It matters. It matters. All of these things matter. So there's our 3 categories. What you know, what you don't know, and again, what you don't know, you don't know. And I'm going to try to drive this point home with one more example, because I really hope that you understand what we're trying to do is not move all of the information that we're going to go over in the next 2 days from what you don't know to the what you know. Like, we're not going to try to become experts in opportunity zone tax credits and legacy planning and advanced qualified plans and work opportunity tax credits and cost seg and on and on. That's not the goal. The goal is just to chip away a little bit at the blue category of what you don't know, and move it at least into the green category of what you don't know. And what's the difference between those? I happen to know Jonathan Cutton lives in Long Island. If John didn't know that he could fly to San Diego, he would have been looking at Amtrak tickets, maybe considering driving across country. But does John need to know how to fly a plane in order to get to San Diego? Of course not, right? It'd be silly. John just has to know a plane exists, first of all. It saves me a lot of time and money, second of all. And third, how to find a competent pilot. Same thing. You don't need to be an expert in cost segregation, as I used that example of one of many, to allow a client to use cost segregation. You have to know it exists, know how to find an expert, and then have the conversation.